Mr. Buffett seemed a bit more cautious this time around. What were the key takeaways?
Yeah, so it's very interesting. The things that shareholders want to hear from Warren Buffett are, of course, how Berkshire's businesses are faring, his views on the economy, because some of the businesses Berkshire does own are deeply linked to the pulse of the economy. So he's uniquely placed to talk about it. And of course, they want to know about succession, who's taking over from him and when. And also when and how he's going to deploy his massive cash pile, because he's been criticized for not doing deals and hasn't had a substantial acquisition for a while, deciding instead to buy back his own stock. So going through a few of those, his views on the economy, well, in no uncertain terms, he called it red hot. Prices are rising. Berkshire's businesses are rising prices. Consumers are seeing prices rise. And there's a lot more inflation than people would have expected, say, 6 months ago. The economy was effectively resurrected, that was his word, by the stimulus measures of the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve. And the pace of recovery has surpassed their expectations. So investors would have been craving to hear that kind of information on his own businesses and his investments. Well, this was perhaps the most revealing because the billionaire faced questions over why Berkshire didn't seize upon the temporary market downturn starting in late March last year to snap up more stocks at depressed prices, and instead he used the first weeks of the U.S. shutdown to dump some of his airline stocks. And then those stocks, Delta and Southwest, went on to actually rally more than 45%. He said it wasn't a great moment in Berkshire's history, and also sold some Apple stock when the company gained about 80%. So he kind of was quite revealing in how he had admitted some regret and some errors there. And on that cash pile, well, he said SPACs. SPACs are his Achilles heel. He called them a killer. They're driven by a mandate to make splashy acquisitions in a hurry, and they can easily outbid a bargain-seeking Buffett.
Sally, did Warren Buffett give any hints at all about how he might deploy that enormous cash pile?
He is a fan of buying back his own stock and has been for a while. Him and his longtime business partner, Munger, see the value in doing that. In terms of succession, we got one potential clue about that. At one point, Charlie Munger mentioned that Greg Abel, another one of the younger controls of the Berkshire businesses, would maintain the culture at Berkshire. And so I think investors probably, that piqued their interest a lot, but no successor has been publicly announced. So that's the kind of little comment that everyone was looking for and might be picked up by a few investors.
What about little comments about succession?
Exactly, yeah, that's the kind of thing. He doesn't give a lot away, but that was one tiny breadcrumb that people might seize upon and think, well, he mentioned Abel would maintain the culture at Berkshire. Potentially, is that an indication of what's to come? But it's very hard to say and be definitive on anything like that with Warren Buffett.